Welcome to the SAFeTY Chronicles, exploring how to keep people and pets safe from the cycle of interpersonal violence. I am your host, Allie Phillips, founder and CEO of Sheltering Animals and Families Together, the SAFeTY Program, a nonprofit organization working with domestic violence shelters to eliminate the pet housing barrier to safety. As the founder, I have led the global movement in helping domestic violence shelters create on-site pet housing while elevating the criminal justice response to how animal abuse links to crimes against people. I am a former prosecuting attorney, internationally recognized legal expert and public speaker, award-winning author, and advocate for protecting vulnerable victims. In this podcast, we will explore how and why animals are harmed in the cycle of family violence and the human-animal bond that keeps victims in harm's way with their pets. Guest speakers and I will share strategies for shelters and professionals working to safeguard survivors, why pet-inclusive sheltering is life-saving, and safety tips for those who need help. None of the content will be graphic. If you are in harm's way, please contact your nearest domestic violence shelter or call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. So in this episode, I want to talk about why you are hiding your pet housing program. Because when a domestic violence victim is quickly seeking safe shelter for themselves, maybe their kids, and for their pets, shelters need to make it easy on them. Quickness and ease in finding information could be a matter of life or death. But when I look at shelters' websites and social media pages, it's not readily apparent whether they can accept a fleeing victim with a pet. So I did a random survey of 10 pet-inclusive domestic violence shelters that are listed on the SAFeTY Program website, and I wanted to see how long it would take me to learn that they take pets on site, or whether I could even find that information. And this is what I found. This is the website of Serenity in Arkansas. And when I scroll down, right here, right on the main page, it says, since 2014, we are one out of very few shelters that allow pets. That's great. That was super easy. Now, I randomly picked another shelter, and this one is out of Miami-Dade, Florida. And while I ended up finding the information, I realized that this is a government created website, and the shelter probably doesn't have a say in how you find information. Because when I went to the menu and I started clicking on animals and pets and housing social services, I couldn't find any information. But, and see, I'm trying to back out of this, and it was very difficult. So I scrolled down and I'm looking and okay, assistance for victims of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. All right, I'll click. Great, pet. Look at, you see on here, right, what I call above the fold, right on the main screen, pets at domestic violence shelters. And they say right here that they launched and they have an on-site pet-friendly housing system. Okay, it was a little confusing to get there, but I was able to get there and I was able to find that information. So let me talk about more. So that's 2 shelters. Let me talk about a third one. I randomly selected a shelter out of California. And I'm not going to show these websites because I really don't want to call out any shelter and have it come across as negative. But when I went to their website and at the beginning of their homepage, it says, quote, "We provide safety, shelter, and support to domestic violence survivors." They could easily add at the end of that sentence, "and their pets." That is a super easy thing to do. When I continued to click through their website and I clicked on their services page, they list 2 different shelter services, but there is nothing listed about housing pets. There is nothing on their website at all about housing pets because I went to the search feature and I looked for the word pet and I looked for the word animal and there was nothing. And this is a shelter that houses pets. There is also nothing on their social media pages in recent years. I found a couple of posts from 2020, but I had to use the search feature within social media. So they are really not letting their community know that they are pet friendly. All right, a forced shelter. I went to one randomly selected in Idaho, and it says pets are welcome after I click on the shelter link, but it's really buried among other information. What would solve that very easily is a photo of a pet on the homepage or on the shelter page. Just a photo of a pet right there sends a signal that you take pets. All right, a fifth shelter. This is a Michigan shelter. This is where I live in Michigan, and I've been to this shelter. It's amazing. They have an extensive program, and they've had it for over 20 years with a beautiful, just beautiful, beautiful shelter. But there's nothing on their website, which really surprises me. The only information that is pet related is related to pet safety planning. So when I used the search feature on their social media page, I found some posts that say that they welcome pets on site, but it just really wasn't obvious. I mean, it just wasn't very obvious. And how many victims in crisis are actually going to dig and use a search feature? Not many. All right, I went to a sixth shelter. This was randomly selected out of Texas. And on their homepage, they listed that pets are welcome, but the language was confusing because it also said the shelter is open to adult survivors and minor children. It didn't say pets. Okay, so it needs to be really clear. And then I found randomly selected 4 shelters, one out of North Carolina, Oregon, Washington, and Wisconsin. Their websites have no mention of pets or anything on their social media pages. So here's the thing. We are in an online driven world, and this is where survivors are going. So I'm often asked, and I was asked this a couple of weeks ago, why are shelters not shouting from the rooftops that they accept pets on site? I have 3 reasons. Number 1, I've had a few shelters express concern that they would be overrun with people wanting housing. Isn't that a good problem to have? To be able to identify people with pets who have been in the shadows in your community, in the shadows of violence, and they finally came forward to ask for help. I know you have other solutions other than emergency housing. Wouldn't it be better to identify these people and get them some help rather than to have them still in the shadows and in harm's way? Okay, so it's better to be public about it. And that gets to my second point. I had one shelter many, many, many years ago ask me, should we be afraid that the abuser is actually going to find our location and cause trouble regarding the pet? Well, that can happen whether you house pets or not. Some shelters have public locations, others don't. If you don't want to disclose your location, you don't have to. When you are on your website and your social media pages, all you have to do is just let people know that you house pets. You're not telling them where. You just have to make it easy for people to find that out. And then number 3, sometimes I hear, well, Allie, we're too busy. We don't have enough staff to update our website or social media pages. Or like Miami-Dade, they're not in charge of the website. The government, the county government is. So if it's a government-run website, obviously you can reach out to them and say, hey, we need you to do this, okay? But if you run your website and you're busy and you don't have the staff, bring on a volunteer who's willing to do that for you. I literally get emails all the time from people who want to volunteer at domestic violence shelters. So I know that you are probably getting those requests as well. So, these volunteers, they don't have to come to your shelter. They can do this from home. And the more that your community knows what you do through your website and through your social media pages, the more they can support you, including monetary support for the shelter as well as for your pet housing program. So I am not a marketing professional, okay? I've been an attorney for 31 years. I'm a former prosecutor. I'm the founder of the SAFeTY Program. But I have 3 websites and over 10 social media pages. I have studied with numerous marketing and business coaches. I have 3 very simple recommendations that I want to make to you. All right, get your pen and paper out. Number 1, please view your website like a newspaper. Information that is above the fold or on the main screen, whether you're on a phone or computer, what is right there without scrolling or clicking is what captures people's attention. Scrolling, clicking links, digging for information is not done by most people, and it is certainly not done by somebody in crisis. Make sure it is obvious that you welcome pets. One easy thing that you can do is the banner photo at the top of your website and the top of your social media pages. Have it be a photo of an adult, a child, and a pet. That makes it really obvious. Pictures literally speak 1,000 words. If somebody sees a pet on your website, they're going to pick up the phone and call. It's going to be that fast, okay? Number 2, most websites have tabs that you can click on at the top of their website. You know, they have a menu, they have a contact us, maybe a donate button, a services button. Please add a tab that just says pets. And then under that tab, list what is your housing like? Is it on-site? Is it off-site? What is the on-site housing like? Do you have pet safety planning tips? Reach out to me. I will send you a document that is pet safety planning that you can put on your website. Okay? They can be a very simple page, and once you create it, you don't have to do anything with it, but have a tab that says pets. And number 3, if people are like me, they will use the search button on websites and social media pages, but most people don't do that. I go to these web pages and social media pages and I search for the word pet and animal. So make sure that you have information on your website about pets, have that pet link, and make sure that you have information on your social media pages. Again, a pet photo, or have it right in the description, because every social media page has a little section where you can describe who you are. And you could say, we are a domestic violence shelter that houses, and you list, you know, are you women only? Do you take children? Do you take juveniles? Do you take pets? It's literally one sentence. Please do not be silent on this issue, because there are victims with pets living in the shadows among violence. We live in an internet and social media driven world. Survivors are going online to find help. And when they are in crisis, the stress and the trauma results in lack of clear thinking. If you have ever been super stressed out or in trauma or in shock, you can't think clearly. The brain protects itself. So this is why your website and social media pages need to be abundantly clear and super easy, whether you house pets or not, and what help is available. Too many websites are cluttered. And digging around to find basic information is doing a disservice to the clients that you serve who are looking for fast, quick, easy information. So if you own your own website, I would recommend putting out a call to your board of directors, your volunteers, or on social media to see if somebody can help you for free clean up your website, add pet information, and make it really easy for survivors to navigate. Last but not least, I want you to view your website and your social media from the perspective of a survivor with a pet who needs information and they need it fast and quick. Do your pages offer that in an easy manner? All right, I hope this is helpful, and seek help. If you don't have the time to do this, put a call out on your social media pages. Who has time to volunteer to help us do a website assessment and just clean up a couple of things? You're going to be amazed at the help that you will get. All right, so I hope that this is helpful. Thanks for tuning in. If you are in harm's way and need help, please visit the Pet Inclusive Shelter listing at SAFeTYprogram.org, call your nearest domestic violence shelter, or call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Want to support our efforts and help us keep the SAFeTY Startup Manual free for domestic violence shelters? Consider donating at safetyprogram.org/donate. Your donation saves lives.